As Hurricane Dorian approached, heavy rain hit shuttered and boarded up homes and businesses all over West Palm Beach. With signs that the Category 5 storm devastating the Bahamas was headed straight to us, Mayor Keith James activated the city's Emergency Operations Center located in Fire Station 5.
In recent history, there have been few threats as significant as the threat that Hurricane Dorian poses to our city at this moment.
Once the Emergency Operations Center was activated, the action was nonstop, 24 hours a day. Firefighters responded to medical emergencies as well as accidents on rain-slick roads. City workers assigned to the EOC assumed special roles for the duration of the storm, some spending several days and nights here, sleeping on cots and air mattresses, eating meals prepared by host firefighters.
The people that have been moved into our station, we try to invite them in like family. We try to have them be part of our meals, be a part of our conversations.
Assistant Fire Chief Brent Bloomfield, who's also EOC manager, coordinates everything that goes on here once it's activated, including keeping everyone on their toes.
So we need to make sure that we stay prepared and we stay vigilant and we make sure that we just keep doing what we're doing, which is preparing for the storm.
In this room, workers who normally perform very different duties fielded calls to the mayor's hotline from worried residents.
Good afternoon, City of West Palm Beach.
You've been here 4 days?
4 days here, yeah.
And you slept here?
Yes, we slept here.
So how was that?
It's been an experience. It's the first time that I rode out a storm here, and everyone's very great, and they fed us and they took care of us really good.
And when it finally became clear that Hurricane Dorian would remain offshore as it headed north, sparing our city, the focus shifted to helping our neighbors in the islands with this police-led drive to gather and deliver supplies to the hurricane-ravaged Bahamas.
Sergeant Matthias and I are going to be taking our private vessels over this weekend and bring some of these supplies over as much as possible.
This is Sheryl Kahn reporting for WPB TV. 63-year-old Kevin and his 62-year-old friend George are just settling into their new home.
It's on the same side as St. Anne's, yeah.
There's still work to be done on their apartment, but the two men are delighted and relieved to be here because up until recently, this is what they called home, a bench outside West Palm Beach City Hall. Why did you choose to hang out at City Hall?
It's safer. You got cameras, you got security, and you got people walking back and forth all day long.
So that's where Kevin, George, and many others spent most of their days and nights reading books taken out of the library next door, smoking cigarettes, and sleeping with one eye open.
You learn to be a light sleeper out here. You gotta be. It's a matter of survival.
The two friends wound up homeless after health issues and layoffs led to a downward spiral in their lives.
I used to work for AT&T and I retired from there, and then I worked as an electrician.
And then what happened?
I had a heart attack. Couldn't go near the electric anymore. They put a pacemaker in me.
I worked downtown Chicago for years.
Remodeling homes?
Yeah.
So how did this happen?
Stupidity.
What does that mean?
A friend of mine told me I had a job down here and he was living on the streets.
While hanging out here, Kevin, the more outgoing of the two, would talk to passers-by, from residents coming to City Hall to pay their bills, to city workers, and even the mayor and police chief.
Are you ready?
And that's how Kevin got to know Armando Fana, director of the Department of Housing and Community Development. Fana made it his mission to get Kevin, George, and some of their friends off the streets. It took months to arrange for the men to live in a fully furnished and rehabbed apartment owned by the city, and weeks to convince them to take him up on it.
And change is always difficult. You might not think change is difficult from going from homelessness to a roof over your head, but it is a huge change for some of these folks.
But finally, after agreeing to pay 30% of their small monthly government checks for rent, Kevin and George moved in. You feel like this is going to be good?
Oh yeah, now I can take a shower in the morning and I can go out and look for work.
What do you think is going to be the best part about having your own place?
It's going to be getting back into society, getting back to, not being on the streets, interacting with the neighbors, just normal everyday things.
That we take for granted.
Exactly.
This is Sheryl Kahn reporting for WPB TV. These new recruits, most of them hired with the help of a $160,000 grant from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, are taking part in West Palm Beach Fire and Rescue's Fire Ground Survival Program.
I lost the hose line.
It's designed to get them out of tight spots they may find themselves in while fighting fires when there's no one else around to help.
Go ahead with your mayday.
Crawling under tangled wires, chopping holes in the walls of smoke-filled burning buildings, squeezing through tight spots impeded by heavy, bulky equipment. It's frustrating and frightening, but it could save their lives.
We have drop ceilings in commercial buildings. We have electrical wiring in our homes. We have furnishings. You get tangled up in those things and you potentially run out of air and you'll potentially lose your life in the structure.
That's something 37-year-old recruit Coles Colas, a former football player and married father of two, doesn't take lightly.
For me, being a bigger guy, it's hard to be in those tight spaces and not have much movement. So at times you're gonna have to bear down and get your mind right and calm your breathing and relax and wiggle yourself in the right position so you can get yourself through.
Colas and his 22 fellow recruits are learning how to do that and much more during 3.5 months of intensive training.
They learn what we call suppression or firefighting, which includes all of the hose work, ladders, tools, equipment. They also learn all the extrication skills, which would be the jaws of life most people are aware of.
As EMTs, or in some cases paramedics, they also learn how to treat and transport patients. They're being taught by seasoned firefighters with at least 10 years' experience who know the ropes. That gives them confidence as they begin their new careers.
Being afraid never crossed my mind because I know they're going to give me all the tools that I need when the time comes.
The recruits will complete a year of probation at various firehouses around the city. They'll be evaluated daily by supervisors and peers who are looking for certain qualities that make them suited for the job.
A genuine desire to do the job and help people.
Coles Colas says he definitely has that desire because while he thought playing football was a dream come true, to him, being a firefighter means so much more.
Football, you lose a game and you go home, you pout about it and that's the end of it. But here, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, somebody may get hurt and somebody may die and that's a big deal.
This is Sheryl Kahn reporting for WPB TV. It's a heartbreaking scene. 2 cars full of teenagers collide on prom night, leaving one teen dead, another seriously injured, transported to the hospital by helicopter. Fortunately, this is just a crash reenactment held on Forest Hill High School's football field, designed to encourage young drivers to make smart choices, not just during prom season, but every day of the year. It's one of many events sponsored by the City of West Palm Beach's Vision Zero program, with its goal of eliminating serious traffic crashes and fatalities. In this scenario, as their classmates watch from the stands, students play the roles of drunk and distracted drivers as well as crash victims.
We can tell everybody not to drink and drive, not to drive distracted, but when you have 2 cars and one was driven by a drunk driver, one was driven by a distracted driver, and this is the outcome, they're going to see it a little bit differently.
And as they watch the scene unfold in front of them, with one young man arrested for drunk driving, another teen's body loaded into a hearse, some kids say the message does hit home.
It shows a lot of people that things like this can happen. It happened last year. I know a friend that died last year on prom night from a car crash.
If you'd like to know more about Vision Zero, visit wpb.org/Vision Zero. This is Sheryl Kahn reporting for WPB TV.